A Fort Dodge teenager has been charged in the murder of a Des Moines woman last week. 16-year-old Datavion John Goley of Fort Dodge faces first-degree murder and robbery charges after 18-year-old Sakira Bonner was found lying in a West Des Moines road late on Friday night. Bonner was later pronounced dead at a local hospital after authorities say she was beaten and shot. Two others were charged with first-degree murder and first-degree robbery, 20-year-old John Darius Lewis of Des Moines and 17-year-old Eleazar Montoya Gam of Des Moines. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation West Des Moines Police continue to investigate. The Colorado man who allegedly threw water Representative Steve King last month has filed a motion to have his trial moved down to the 4th Congressional District. 26-year-old Blake Gibbons of Lafayette, Colorado, pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of assault and a disorderly conduct charge, both simple misdemeanors. Gibbons' attorney Paul Statler of Des Moines filed a motion for a change of venue on Monday because of pre-trial publicity on the case. Gibbons' trial was originally scheduled for April 30th, but Statler filed a motion to reschedule because of a conflict on the date. A new trial date has not been announced. The Fort Dodge Community School District announced on Wednesday that Sarah Fitzgerald will be the next principal at Fieldhaver Elementary School in Fort Dodge, starting with the 2019-2020 school year. Fitzgerald currently serves as an instructional coach and new teacher mentor at Fort Dodge Middle School. She replaces current principal Nancy Cross, who resigned effective at the end of the school year to move closer to family in eastern Iowa, whom she will help care for. The Prestige Foods pork plant just south of Eagle Grove is open, and the past president of the Iowa Pork Producers Association, Greg Hora, says production at the plant continues to ramp up. Hora said yesterday on the Divine Intervention show that profits in the pork industry are currently high.
Within the pork industry, and we should be happy about that in Iowa, is that we're seeing some more profits right now due to the African swine fever that is rampant not only in China, but some other countries. So we're seeing our summer pork prices go up pretty dramatically, about 20% here in the last 2 months. That brings us profitability back into the industry.
Hora mentioned that this year's World Pork Expo in Des Moines in June has been canceled because of the threat of African swine fever.
They're still having a live show down there for U.S. exhibitors, but we're just concerned about those foreigners that might come here, and if we would have a disease break, how financially devastating that would be.
Hora says that an outbreak of African swine fever would shut down the borders for any exports of pork and would be financially devastating. A central Iowa city is being named among the best places in the country to live, as Radio Iowa's Matt Kelly reports.
Out of 125 metro areas, the rankings from U.S. News & World Report place Des Moines as the 5th best place to live. The list is compiled based on a series of criteria, including cost of living, job market, crime rates, and quality of education. The rest of the top 5 are Fayetteville, Arkansas, Colorado Springs, Denver, and in first place, Austin, Texas. The magazine also ranked Des Moines the number 3 best affordable place to live. Radio Iowa, I'm Matt Kelly.
I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms here for this afternoon, with cloudy sky conditions and a high getting into the lower 50s. We'll have winds out of the east around 20 to 30 miles per hour, and at times gusting as high as 45. Friday, a slight chance for snow early, then mixing with rain, then changing to rain showers. Cloudy skies, a high around 41. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 40.
When you were a teenager, your garage was the beginning of your rock and roll dreams. Later on, your garage was a place to store whatever didn't fit in the house. Then you got the car of your dreams. And that's not staying outside at night, no sir. That's where we come in.
P&R Entry Doors is your one-stop source for installation and repairs. As an official Midland garage door dealer, we have everything you need for any size garage in any situation. PNREntryDoors.com.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about, and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless, and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
Michael Devine at AM 1400
In the name of justice and the American way of life.
with 60 rounds of freedom.
That's right, AM 1400 KVFD, the voice before Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. We are going to tell the truth, make it matter, and we're never going to be boring. That's the whole deal right there, the never boring part. So if you care to join the program, there's a couple of ways. Actually, there's 3, 4, 5 ways. You can go to youtube.com, find 1400 KVFD, and we're there, audio and video. You can call this program live anytime, 515-955-1400. I'm on Twitter at JMike1400 or on Facebook, AM 1400 KVFD. Joining me today is the Executive Director of the Ford Dodge Convention and Visitors Bureau. We haven't seen her for a while. This is Carrie Kuiper. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Mike.
What's going on over there? You got a little thing going on over there, do you, at the Ford Dodge Convention and Visitors Bureau?
Oh, we're always having something going on. It's always an exciting place to be. But next week we have a community tourism or community service and community tourism session that we're offering to anybody in the community who'd like to come. And it's basically turn your travelers into customers. And so we encourage people to
turn your travelers into customers. That's interesting.
Absolutely. Well, have you ever gone to have a favorite restaurant out of town that you go to all the time? And
of course.
Yeah. And so we want people or our businesses and even our locals, because they're our best ambassadors, to start talking about the wonderful places in Fort Dodge.
Some of the locals are already good ambassadors.
Right. We want them all to be great ambassadors.
All
Yeah,
right.
we want them to all be that way. So, yeah, absolutely.
All right. Carrie Kuiper is our guest, Executive Director again of the Ford Dodge Convention and Visitors Bureau. Why was the CVB formed in the first place?
So we were formed to market the community to travelers, to bring tourism into the area, to just increase people coming to town.
Sure. Did we? It says convention. Did we get conventions?
Absolutely. We do get conventions into town. They're going to be the smaller conventions between 50 to 300 people is kind of our niche for conventions that are in town. But yeah, we do quite a few of those.
So Carrie's here to talk primarily about the customer service and community tourism, turning travelers into your customers. That's sponsored by, of course, the CVB. Coming up Tuesday, April 16th, you may join the CVB there at 9 to 11 or 2 to 4 at the Best Western Starlight Village. There is no fee. How's that grab you, darling?
There is no fee. Nope. We want you to come out and see us.
You know, I told you just before we went on the air that I saw the Fireball Run where the Fort Dodge. I think I got most of the ones where Fort Dodge was in those shows. We're talking Fireball Run that was here last year, or was it 2 years ago?
It was actually September of 2017 that they were here.
All right,
Absolutely.
Year and a half probably.
Absolutely.
We should say at the very least. And it was enjoyable, very enjoyable. Our town looked really good, especially at that segment where all those folks were in Central Avenue.
We couldn't be prouder of how the community turned out on those events and how we looked. All of our attractions looked great. We just were so proud of the community. But
I think so, yeah. Well, of course, Matt Johnson and Matt Bemrick did not win any beauty prizes while they were out there, but they represented as well, I'm sure.
They did. They actually won the kind of the rookie. There's a title for it, but it's basically the rookie team of the year. They won it. Yep, they won it.
Did.
So they made us proud.
Well, those two guys would probably have a good time. By the way, there's a new baseball team coming to town. I'm going to take a personal interest in this because I'm a baseball guy.
Oh, yay.
The Pioneer Baseball League is starting a team called the Gypsum Miners. Now, why they're not playing out at Harlan Rogers, I don't know, but they're playing down at Patterson Field. We got a little more parking at Harlan Rogers. Well, I don't want to get on a rant about that right now. But anyway, this is a semi-pro team, and the teams will play other Pioneer baseball teams in Ames, Carroll, Storm Lake, Bancroft, and Albert Lee. Now, I'll tell you, Bancroft, for a little town, that's a great baseball town.
They love their baseball.
Yes, they do.
They do, absolutely.
They had a couple of Lefty Joe Hatton came out of Bancroft. He was a great pitcher in the 1930s, and then Dennis Menke, who was a very solid utility player in the 1960s and 70s. As a matter of fact, older baseball fans will remember the 1973 World Series between the Cincinnati Reds and the Oakland A's, and there's a great picture of the Oakland left fielder, Joe Rudy, who was a great defensive player. And he is making an acrobatic backhanded catch against the left field wall that might have saved the series. That might have saved the series for the Oakland A's. Now, that's a famous picture in baseball, and the batter was Dennis Menke of Bancroft. He was robbed of a sure extra base hit by that great catch. And again, it probably cost the Reds the World Series. It was a turning point in the series. They had runners on base, and that was the third out. And the way it goes. But anyway, this Iowa Central Community Assistant Baseball Coach Connor McLeod will be coaching the Gypsum Miners. One aspect of the Pioneer Baseball League is an emphasis in assimilating players into the community through living with local families. You want to talk about that a little bit, don't you?
I do. We have a great opportunity to host a college baseball player for the months of June and July while they're playing. And so by assimilating into the community, making relationships with families, and also through their service projects, we really anticipate a lot of interaction with the players who are coming from all over the country. So families can host one. We'd love them to have it.
Now you have 23 players, so you need 23 homes, I assume.
We need 23 homes unless somebody wants to host more than one player.
All
more
right.
than one player can go to each home. So it depends on how many people want to host. Absolutely. So one of the things, it's not a big process to go through. We ask that, of course, they have a place to sleep, to do their laundry, and then food when they're not playing. So the league will provide all the transportation. They'll provide all of the food when they're at games and things like that. So want them to make a part of their families.
Okay. So if someone wanted to do this, if someone wanted to be a host family for a ball player, and I don't suppose young women can just adopt these guys, or maybe they can, I don't know. But how can they do that?
So they can call Donnie Roberts. He is the organizer of the Pioneer Baseball League at 715-790-2941, or they can give me a call and I can kind of make the arrangements as well. And my number is 573-4282.
That's very good. The Gypsum Miners will also be hosting multiple youth baseball clinics, which is great.
Yes, one of their big emphasis is on having the players provide customer service. I'm sorry, community service. And so they will be having clinics. They'll be getting involved in different community projects as well. So you're going to see them around the community.
I bet. This is an interesting thing, and we're talking with Carrie Kuiper of the Fort Dodge Convention and Visitors Bureau. A 1954 to 1956 Ford Crown Victoria Association rally car display. Let me give that to you again, car buffs. A 1954 to 1956 Ford Crown Victoria Association rally car display. Now that sounds pretty cool. You know, I go to car shows, and we got a great one coming up here. Well, J Mars does a great job.
Oh, absolutely.
And of course, the Cruise in the Woods over in Webster City is a great one. And I just love those car shows, and I love old cars, 50s and 60s cars especially. I will tell you they're dominated, though, by Chevy. And I think that's too bad, even though my dad sold Chevrolets. That's how I grew up. That's what put food on the table. My dad sold Chevrolets. And he was one of those guys who used to say, "What's good for General Motors is good for the country."
Fun.
So, but I rarely see a car show devoted only to Fords, and Ford Crown Victorias in this case.
So this particular car display is part of a rally that's coming to town. So we have about 40 plus Crown Victorias coming to town through the Memorial Day weekend. What they like to do is not only participate in activities and go to attractions throughout the community, they like to display their cars to other car buffs, and we invite other cars other than the 1954 and 56 Crown Victorias to come to a display at the Fort Museum on Saturday, May 15th from 10 to 2. So
Let me make sure what you're saying. So it doesn't make any difference the make and model?
It doesn't for the display itself.
All right.
So, but the rally is a 3-day rally, and that'll all be just 54, 56 owners.
Okay. So I'm still not getting it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The display is what?
So the car display is at the Fort Museum on Saturday, May 15th from 10 to 2.
So that one, anybody can come.
Absolutely.
All right. The
Anyone.
rally itself is over a 3-day period. All right. Third time's a charm. Okay.
Correct.
Actually, I that's usually what it took me back in school. So I'm okay now. we got it figured out. Carrie Kuiper's our guest here at AM 1400, KBFD, the voice for Dodge. And she's with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. How big a staff you have over there?
There's 2 of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
You and
Connie Lynn.
Connie Lynn.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
Right. I know Connie. Connie's pretty cool.
She keeps me on track. I'm a tad scattered and she's ultra organized. So we're a great team together.
I believe that. Well, I don't know about you being scattered, but I bet that Connie's pretty organized. Certainly. Well, I look forward to that. Certainly the 54 to 56 Crown Victoria Association Rally Car Display. Now, you said this was a traveling group. If somebody's in the area with a Crown Victoria, this description, can they come?
Absolutely. We would connect them to the organizers who are out of Minnesota, and they would be able to tell them how to get involved. So again, give us a call at 573-4282 if you'd like to be part of the entire rally, or if you'd like to display at the Fort Museum, and we'll get you hooked up.
Okay, now on Memorial Day, Fort Dodge will host a special group of car enthusiasts. Again, that's the Ford Crown Victoria Association. I wonder if we'll see anybody from the Johnson family out there that day, but I hope so. The rally will be held the rally will be holding several club functions at the Best Western Starlight Village, VFW, and the Sports Park Raceway throughout the weekend. If you are a 1954 to 1956 Crown Victoria owner and would like to participate in the entire rally, here's the number. I guess it's not a number, it's an email address. It's Dick and Pat Raths, like Raths Packing, like Rath Packing Plant, only with an S on the end. RATHS. That's Dick and Pat Raths, RATHS. Now the email address is rcraths@isd.net. That's rcraths@isd.net. So if you want to get on that, that's pretty cool. Well, let's finish where we started with the customer service and community tourism tour, turning travelers into your customers. That's coming up. That's next Tuesday, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's coming right up.
9 to 11 or 2 to 4 at the Best Western Village. Explain a little further. What are we going to learn here?
So we're going to learn how customer service attracts people to you, and what to do in tough situations, and how to make the experience of a visitor or a customer exceptional, where you're remembered and people want to continue to come back to you, and how visitors sometimes are looking for different things than a local would be looking for. So how to provide those services to a visitor to keep them coming back to you.
Sure. What would have, sometimes they go looking for the big box retailers, and we don't have many privately owned service stations anymore. We have Casey's, this, that, and the other thing. How can we direct them to more locally owned businesses?
Well, one of the things that travelers they like first person comments and such. So they'll come into, whether it's their hotel or a gas station, say, hey, we want to do something, or where would you suggest we eat, or where do we go to get gas,
Sure.
And things like that. And so it's important when those folks get those questions that they direct them to great places and are excited about the locations. And so first person getting your information out and creating relationships with those people are the best way to direct visitors to you.
All right. We haven't seen Kerry Kuiper in a while. It's and it shows too, because we got a lot of things. We talked about a lot of things today. I don't think anybody here in the radio station knew what's going on. So I appreciate you coming over. Don't make such a stranger of yourself. You just work right over there.
I know. The wind just blew me in today.
This is the usual time the Growth Alliance is here, by the way. So Denny Plotz must have had another one of his meetings to be calm and collaborate.
He's always busy.
He's always busy.
He's always busy.
And he's always calm, and he always collaborates.
He does. He does.
All right. Community service and community tourism, turn travelers into your customers. That's this coming Tuesday. Join the CVB at either time of 9 to 11 in the morning or 2 to 4 in the afternoon. And that's at the Best Western Starlight Village. There is no fee, but you should register by yesterday, apparently.
Right. We've extended the registration deadline. So make sure there's plenty of room. We'd love to have everybody come involved and see what you can do to help your community and bring visitors in.
Kerry Kuiper is Executive Director of the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. It's always a great time here.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Mine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
There we go. Making radio great again. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. The news is coming up.
Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson welcomes Foghat. Foghat rocks Wild Rose Friday, June 14th. Tickets on sale now at the Iowa store and online at wildroseresorts.com.
I just want to make love to you.
Don't miss Foghat. Friday, June 14th at Wild Rose Casino and Resort, Jefferson. You'd rather be here.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. A Fort Dodge teenager has been charged in the murder of a Des Moines woman last week. 16-year-old Tavion John Goley of Fort Dodge faces first-degree murder and robbery charges after 18-year-old Sakira Bonner was found lying in a West Des Moines road late on Friday night. Bonner was later pronounced dead at a local hospital after authorities say she was beaten and shot. Two others were charged with first-degree murder and first-degree robbery, 20-year-old John Darius Lewis of Des Moines and 17-year-old Eleazar Montoya Gam of Des Moines. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation West Des Moines Police continue to investigate. The Colorado man who allegedly threw water Representative Steve King last month has filed a motion to have his trial moved down to the 4th Congressional District. 26-year-old Blake Gibbons of Lafayette, Colorado pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of assault and a disorderly conduct charge, both simple misdemeanors. Gibbons' attorney Paul Statler of Des Moines filed a motion for a change of venue on Monday because of pre-trial publicity on the case. Gibbons' trial was originally scheduled for April 30th, but Statler filed a motion to reschedule because of a conflict on the date. A new trial date has not been announced. The Fort Dodge Community School District announced on Wednesday that Sarah Fitzgerald will be the next principal at Fieldhaver Elementary School in Fort Dodge, starting with the 2019-2020 school year. Fitzgerald currently serves as an instructional coach and new teacher mentor at Fort Dodge Middle School. She replaces current principal Nancy Cross, who resigned effective at the end of the school year to move closer to family in eastern Iowa, whom she will help care for. The Prestige Foods pork plant just south of Eagle Grove is open, and the past president of the Iowa Pork Producers Association, Greg Hora, says production at the plant continues to ramp up. Hora said yesterday on the Divine Intervention show that profits in the pork industry are currently high.
Within the pork industry, and we should be happy about that in Iowa, is that we're seeing some more profits right now due to the African swine fever that is rampant not only in China, but some other countries. So we're seeing our summer pork prices go up pretty dramatically, about 20% here in the last 2 months. That brings us profitability back into the industry.
Hora mentioned that this year's World Pork Expo in Des Moines in June has been canceled because of the threat of African swine fever.
They're still having a live show down there for U.S. exhibitors, but we're just concerned about those foreigners that might come here, and if we would have a disease break, how financially devastating that would be.
Hora says that an outbreak of African swine fever would shut down the borders for any exports of pork and would be financially devastating. A central Iowa city is being named among the best places in the country to live, as Radio Iowa's Matt Kelly reports.
Out of 125 metro areas, the rankings from U.S. News and World Report place Des Moines as the 5th best place to live. The list is compiled based on a series of criteria, including cost of living, job market, crime rates, and quality of education. The rest of the top 5 are Fayetteville, Arkansas, Colorado Springs, Denver, and in first place, Austin, Texas. The magazine also ranked Des Moines the number 3 best affordable place to live. Radio Iowa, I'm Matt Kelly.
I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
This is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. It's exactly 2:30, 42 degrees out right now. Yeah, this is just a lousy day. This day sucks. I should just do the weather forecast. It sucks and move on. Mostly cloudy with a high of 51 today. Very windy, gusting up to 40 miles an hour. Overnight, slight chance of rain, then snow early in the morning, mostly cloudy with a low of 31 overnight. Tomorrow morning, snow, then rain and snow around the noon hour, and then rain after that. So, yeah, tomorrow's not going to be that great a day either. Very windy once again, wind gusting up to 35 miles per hour. On Saturday, much better, sunny with a high of 50. On Sunday, it'll be sunny with a high of 52. On Tuesday, sunny with a high of 63. There we go. And Wednesday, mostly cloudy with a high of 60. So we're doing okay, more or less, starting over the weekend. Right now, again, 42 degrees under a cloudy sky, if you want to call it that. It's just a miserable day. Yeah, 42 degrees, overcast and windy, I guess is the way I'd describe it. Here in Fort Dodge. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. Mary Drown has died at the age of 91. Mary Kay Drown of Fort Dodge has passed away. She died on Monday at the Friendship Haven. A private family graveside service will be held at Memorial Park Cemetery. Memorials may be directed to the family. Mike Scott has died. Michael K. Scott, 63 years old, has passed away. His service is tomorrow here in town at 10 o'clock in the morning. Obituaries this hour brought to you by Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services at 1615 North 15th Street, Fort Dodge. You may contact Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services by calling 515-576-7128 or online at www.gundersonfuneralhome.com. It's 2:32 at AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Overcast, windy, and 42 degrees.
Here's how the markets closed on Thursday. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting for Dwayne Murley. Grains were lower on Thursday. May soybeans down 6 3/4 at $8.95 1/4. July down 6 1/2 at $9.08 3/4. November beans down 6 1/4 at $9.28 1/4. Soybean meal for May down $2.90 a ton at $307.20. May bean oil down 9 points at $28.98. May core down 1 3/4 at $3.60. July core down 2 at $3.68 3/4. December core down 2 1/4 at $3.88 1/2. May Chicago wheat 2 1/2 higher at $4.60 1/2. May Kansas City winter wheat up 4 1/4 at $4.30 1/2. Spring wheat 2 to 4 higher. Feeder cattle higher. April up 25 at $145.42. May up 62 at $149.85. April live cattle up 12 at $126. June live cattle up 47 at $120.42. August live cattle up 37 at $117.37. And the hog trade, April up 32 at $79.22. May hogs up 142 at $88.40. June hogs up 125 at $97.70 on Thursday. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics, Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Thrifty White Community Health Corner. Did you remember to take your medication today? Nearly half of all patients with chronic disease do not take their medication as prescribed. Medication non-adherence can have negative health consequences. With Thrifty White's Healthy Pack RX, your medications are organized for you into individual packets based on the time to be taken, reducing mistakes and forgotten pills. Visit your local Thrifty White pharmacy to find out if Healthy Pack RX is a good choice for you.
Ride the bus with the Dart and Midas Transit.
Midas is going your way. If you live in Hamilton, Pocahontas, Calhoun, or Humboldt counties and want to go somewhere special, Midas will take you there. Need to get to the theater, the hair salon, the doctor, the grocery store? Midas will take you there. Just call 800 Bus Ride. Call now and Midas will take you there in Hamilton, Pocahontas, Calhoun, or Humboldt County. Midas, your connection to Jefferson Lines.
Our job here's getting you there. Ride the bus.
Sounds like you've got the crud. Cough, fever, sinus pressure, body aches. What should you take? which over-the-counter medicine is best. You sure don't know, but the people at Daniel Pharmacy do. The pharmacists and technicians at Daniel Pharmacy are ready to help. They drop what they're doing, ask you what you're looking for, go down the aisle with you, and help you find the best medication for your symptoms. Daniel Pharmacy, caring for you and about you for over 50 years at 1114 Central Avenue, downtown Fort Dodge.
To keep your vehicle running at its best, keep up with routine maintenance. The certified service techs at Humboldt Motor Sales make maintaining your vehicle easy. They offer convenient hours and competitive prices on all service and parts. And they take care of your GM warranty needs too. From oil changes to tires, brakes to batteries, engine repair and transmission repair, Humboldt Motor Sales can handle it all. Have your vehicle serviced soon at Humboldt Motor Sales. Log on to HumboldtGM.com to schedule an appointment now or call 800-566-8671.
Tips for the 2019 planting season. Hello, I'm Megan Grebner, and this is Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with Arista Life Science. The wet start to the year and the less than ideal field conditions could lead to a condensed planting season and put even more pressure on farmers this spring. In this Managing for Profit, Matt Hayes with Arista Life Science has some recommendations as growers work to get their crops planted. We'll find out more on Brownfield right after this.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
It's been a particularly challenging spring for much of the Corn Belt, and it's just getting started. There are several areas that are still too wet to even think about being able to start planting this year's crop. Matt Hayes, Territory Sales Manager for Arista Life Science, says communication will be vital this spring.
We know with the amount of moisture that we've got and the cool weather that we've got, we probably will be in a condensed season. And so make sure that you plan ahead so that when we get into the rush, that the product is set and where we need it so that they can get their hands on it at that point in time.
He tells Brownfield growers should plan accordingly for field conditions.
Soil conditions right now are still fairly cool in most of the area. The one thing that we need to make sure is that we're protecting that seedling when we put it into the ground, whether it be corn or soybeans. So we need to make sure that we protect that seedling so we give it the best opportunity to get up out of the ground and be uniform in terms of its makeup, whether you're using seed treatments or some in-furrow products like Tapera Plus that are fungicide, insecticide in furrows with starter fertilizer to help protect that seed so you can get it up out of the ground quicker and stronger.
Hayes says farmers should also be thinking ahead to a disease control strategy for the year.
There's all sorts of diseases that start from the time that you put the seed in the ground to the time that you go to the end of the year. It's one of them deals where let's put something on that seed to protect it from the diseases, from the insects when we go into the ground. And then, like I said, with the starter fertilizers, if you're using a starter fertilizer and you have the opportunity to put a fungicide, insecticide type package onto it, and then as we get going into the season, it's going to give you your time frame that you can work with your crop and keep an eye on it. And then as disease pressures show up again, look for a foliar fungicide similar to Fortix or Zolera FX that's got two modes of action that is readily taken up by that plant so that it can protect itself from the disease that's present and not expand any further to hurt your yield at that time.
When commodity prices are low, he says farmers tend to cut back on inputs, and that can actually cost farmers more than it saves.
We want to maximize your yield. If we can get more yield off of that crop by using fungicides and planting at the right time, then that increases your income versus having a negative effect on it.
I'm Megan Grebner with Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with Arista Life Science.
When it comes to my weed control, I know a head start can go a long way. That's why I spray early, so I can keep control all season long with the Roundup Ready Extend crop system, the system that makes the difference. This is my field.
Choose the Roundup Ready Extend crop system for control of more weeds than any other soybean system. Featuring XtendiMax herbicide with Vapor Grip technology to manage tough-to-control weeds, including up to 14 days of soil activity, along with the field-proven performance of Roundup Ready to Extend soybeans. Now you have the right tools to extend your weed control and extend your yield with the system that makes the difference. Learn how you can put the system to work in your field when you visit RoundupReadyExtend.com. XtendiMax is a restricted-use pesticide. Performance may vary. Always read and follow grain marketing and all other stewardship practices and pesticide label directions. Check local regulations for specific requirements in your state.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
Yeah, if you'd like to confess anything, love to hear it. I don't know about the absolution thing, but if you got any juicy sex stories especially, yeah, call me now, 955-1400. Yes, we're going to tell the truth, make it matter, and never be boring. I am the Doctor of Truth, and on the air with me now is a Doctor of Economics, Dr. Peter Fisher, formerly of the University of Iowa, now of the Iowa Policy Project. How are you, Peter?
You don't have Peter, you have David.
David Osterberg, the Ayatollah himself, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad you called. I thought Peter was going to be on, but you're.
No, we worked on this blog together.
Okay, well, that's terrific. There is a piece on my Facebook page right now, and my Facebook page, of course, is AM 1400 KVFD. It talks about sports betting, and that's what we're going to talk. You didn't get a credit on the Iowa Policy Project page here. Only Peter Fisher did.
Only Peter.
Okay.
Well, we share stuff. So,
by the way, happy birthday.
It's coming.
It isn't here yet.
Not quite nuts. It's the 19th.
Okay. Well, I have tried a couple of credit cards to donate David Osterberg, and you can go to his Facebook page. He's for his birthday, he's taking donations to the Iowa Policy Project, a very worthy cause. But I don't know. Your site won't take my money. This is a first for me.
Yeah, it must be dark money that you're trying to use.
It came directly from the Koch brothers. No, I'll keep trying. Maybe I'm using the wrong. I've tried to use American Express credit card. Maybe they don't take American Express.
Maybe we don't. I don't know.
I don't know either. But I'll get it done one way or the other. David Osterberg is the co-founder of the Iowa Policy Project, a group in Iowa City that tries to do research-backed information that they hope will affect public policy. And of course, the long frustration of both David and mine and several others is that fact and research seem to have very little effect on public policy. I will say, and our topic today is sports betting. And if you go to my Facebook page or the Iowa Policy Project website, that's iowapolicyproject.org or iowafiscal.org, you'll see a piece that says no I in sports betting. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. I will say, and one of the things brought up in this piece by Dr. Peter Fisher and by David Osterberg is that Iowa's not going to make hardly any money on this, on sports betting. If you think that sports betting is going to be a big deal like legalized gambling in the state of Iowa, it's not going to be at all. And I will say that our local legislators, Senator Kreinbrink, Senator Bain, Representative Sexton, all Republicans, have said the same thing, that the state isn't going to realize any money from this. It's driven by demand. People want sports betting. There are sports betting organizations out there, and the legislators are apparently responding to the people of Iowa who want sports betting. I don't want it necessarily, and I don't care if it's enacted, frankly. But the idea that the people of Iowa are going to realize any sort of significant revenue from sports betting is wrong.
Yeah, it is wrong. There's just, there's not a lot of, I mean, first of all, the Supreme Court was only last year that they said that this was going to be, you could do this. So it hasn't been that long. But that's for most states. You know, Las Vegas has always been an exception. They've always been able to do stuff that other states couldn't. But there's very little money that comes in from sports betting. And when New Jersey, kind of the second state with Atlantic City, when they started it up, it's hardly any money at all. So we have pretty good data that it isn't much. That's right.
No, well, I don't. If you've ever been to Las Vegas or Nevada, you can understand. Las Vegas is a huge and beautiful city, but Las Vegas is a desert. They have no other. They don't have anything else to export that I know of. I could be wrong. I'm no expert on what's happening in Nevada, but I know they're primarily a gambling state.
That's right.
That's their business for a long time. That's where people went to gamble. I mean, I remember businessmen when I was in high school, they'd a couple of times a year, they'd all get together. It was a big deal. They'd take a plane out to Las Vegas and gamble like they were all millionaires. A couple of them came back, wondered how they're going to pay their mortgage.
Yeah, it's a good way not to become a millionaire.
That's right. What is the concern? What concerns do you see with this, David? I mean, if sports betting were legalized, obviously you and Peter Fisher and the Iowa Policy Project saw some problems with this being legalized. What's your concern?
Well, the first thing, and they've been trying to do amendments on that, it just makes sports, it just taints sports. I mean, the reason that we've had such an amount of problem with integrity of sports is because people want to bet on games. Remember, Pete Rose, you can't bet on things that you then might participate in, because it clearly somebody can throw a game. I mean, that's the whole Black Sox scandal from, I think, 1919.
Well, Pete Rose was a married man in his 30s with a couple of children, and apparently he was having an affair with a 14-year-old girl, so I don't know if Pete Rose is the standard.
Maybe not. But the fact...
He was morally questionable going in,
Yeah, right. I think so. 14, I think we'd all agree is wrong.
Man in his 30s. I think that cost Roy Moore, and she was 18. At least she was legal, for God's sake.
Yeah, right.
But it's pretty creepy by Northern standards, I got to tell you.
It's all creepy. But and so they had to put a special amendment on saying that you couldn't bet on an Iowa game on an individual. Is he going to make that pass or not? And I'll put a bet on it of $5, and since there's only a 50-50 chance, somebody else is going to pay you $10 if you win, and you may lose. But they've tried to do some of that, but it's only for Iowa sports. You could go and do Nebraska sports, and the same kind of pressure on young college guys, where a bunch of money is put in there. And the question is, how much more is going to happen when you legalize things? Well, I think more. I mean, that's if you make something legal that wasn't legal, there are a whole bunch of people who are going to do it that didn't do it.
Again, this is driven by people in the state of Iowa who want sports gambling. Because I didn't know this. I don't do this. I might play cards once in a while, but that's just about it. I mean, and I don't, but I do know that there's a subculture out there in the state of Iowa that'll get on their computer every single morning, and I have relatives that fit this description. Get on the computer and place some small bets on upcoming sports events. It was crazy during March Madness, during the basketball tournament recently. I mean, they were all over it. I don't get it. But is there harm in this, David?
Well, first of all, I mean, there's very little money coming in.
Right.
And anytime, you see, it's not just that there are people asking for it. It's the casinos want it.
Sure.
The casinos want it because of the way they've written it now. You'll have to go in and get your ability to legally bet on sports by going there for the first 18 months.
Sure.
They're trying to get more people. If you go to a casino, and I haven't been there recently, but a lot of smokers, a lot of people who are, say, in their 60s, gambling away my inheritance. But that's the kind of people they would like to have, newer, younger people. And to the extent that anybody starting out gambling, the very large portion, it's going to be fine. But there are people who are then going to get addicted. And with addiction comes embezzlement and family breakup and all kinds of bad things. I don't think and I've never thought this. I mean, when I was in the legislature, I always voted against all kinds of gambling because it's just not good for the economy and it's bad for individuals.
But public nudity, you voted in favor of that, right?
Public nudity? I don't know if I.
Come on, you're my man, David.
For that one.
Let's have a couple of nude beaches. No, I have to tell you, David, this looks like no harm, no foul to me. The bigger problem is we can't seem to come to any resolution on the use of medical marijuana in the state of Iowa.
Yeah.
It's just lunacy that Illinois and Minnesota are actually and probably will legalize recreational marijuana use in the next year or two. And Nebraska is going to follow suit. And here we are, this little island of mediocrity called Iowa that can't get off the dime. There are legitimate uses for marijuana. CBD oil, I've been exposed to it. It's a decent drug. I didn't get a buzz and listen to the Grateful Dead or anything like that. But it's just like we're like a state of prudes, for God's sake. And I'm saying this because the argument that is made as a pushback against marijuana use of any kind in the state of Iowa is the argument you just made. Some people are going to get addicted. I'm told by my Republican legislators that there is a very conservative group of Republicans and a couple of Democrats who have had loved ones and family members go down the road of drug abuse, and they believe that marijuana is a gateway drug. I want to say again, ladies and gentlemen, for the record, my gateway drug was a can of Grain Belt in the backseat of a 1954 maroon Chevy.
A lot of ours was.
That's right.
Like that.
And I've played cards off and on. I bet I haven't played cards in 5 years. And I have gambled, but it's not my deal. I realize some people are badly addicted.
Yeah, right. My gambling of choice is rock, scissors, paper.
Oh, you're a fiend.
Right. To see who pays for dinner. That's what I do.
Yeah. Well, I understand, and we made a decision. We made a decision over the objections of the churches, frankly, some years ago, to let gambling into our state. First, we wanted to run the one-armed bandits out of the convenience stores, so we let the big money into the state, which I never thought was a good idea.
Yeah.
And now we have these big palaces everywhere, and they're the ones who control gambling. And the legislators wanted it that way because they could milk more tax revenue from these big places. And I really think all 99 counties should share evenly in the revenue from those casinos.
Without giving some county an incentive to allow gambling. I think so. I would agree with that also. And again, this is really anti-economic development because to the extent you're spending more time there, you're not, going out to dinner or you're going out to dinner in the casino because they try to keep you there.
Yeah.
Or you don't even buy shoes for the kids. I mean, there are all kinds of reasons why gambling in general has always been bad. And where you started that, like Germany started gambling, they would not let their own citizens go to Baden-Baden and gamble. They would not allow them because otherwise it would be taking money away and draining it out of the country. That's what gambling does. It drains it out. And there'd be more sports betting would lead in the same direction. So it's anti-economic development. So there's got to be a real good reason to do it. And I just don't see a very good reason to do it. In this case, there's not a lot of extra new money coming into the state. So the argument then becomes, let's people do what they want, and why shouldn't we let them do what they want if they want to do it? But then the people who are pushing it, of course, are all the casinos who are claiming that they're representing all those unheard people.
Now, are we picking on our poor, underrepresented casino owners here?
I guess we are. That's right.
Yeah, that would be tragic. That would be tragic. Well, I understand that, but I will say again that it seems like people are going to do it anyway. I really, this is the argument I made with marijuana and all kinds of drugs. I have kind of a libertarian perspective there. It's better to bring it out of the shadows so that we can get people help, treatment if they need it, and control it somehow. And tax it. As I've mentioned to you before, a high school friend of mine who lives in your home state of Washington have for many, many years. Marijuana has been legal out there for quite a long time, and millions of dollars in new revenue tax revenue flows into the Capitol there, and they use it quite constructively. But,
and it depends on that, because to the extent it's a substitution for other medical drugs, then it may not be anti-economic development. Because, drug manufacturers concentrated in a few places outside of the borders of Iowa, for sure. I think there's Charles City. We have one company that manufactures drugs, but that doesn't happen much. So substituting this for some other kind of drug you might be able to make an economic development argument. And again, we're the Iowa Policy Project. We're not saying we're prudes or we don't want to have people have a little fun. We're saying not good for the economy, could be pretty bad for some families, hardly any money in it. Why do we want to do it except the casinos are happy? I don't make casinos that happy.
No, I didn't look at this piece and think right away, David Osterberg and Dr. Peter Fisher, Parson Grimm, 1 or 2. Get out your hymnals, sinners, and sing along with me. Well, we'll see. This is going to pass.
It might.
It's going to pass. I think the surprisingly enough, the Republicans are more conflicted about it than the Democrats, I think. But I think both parties down there are telling themselves, well, the people want it. They're just going to get, and they're going to do it, and they'll just be annoyed at us if we don't let them do it. And political figures usually don't want people annoyed at them.
They do not. That's right.
That's right. Let me ask you, moving off topic, as I always do, of course.
As you always do.
I always do. Are there any water quality bills moving forward in State House this year?
There seems not to be. The one that keeps being mentioned is the fact that back in 2010, we decided to put into the Constitution of Iowa this fund that would go to recreation, and a lot of it would go to water. Nobody's ever put any money into that fund, and they keep saying maybe this is the year they're going to do it. It would, the way they wrote it, it would require that we increase the sales tax, and 3/8 of that penny would go into this fund, and it's quite a bit of money. It's $180 million, something like that. So, and if 60% or 2/3 went to the water quality, it would be a real way of funding some of the things that might make our rivers and streams and lakes a little bit better. I don't know if that's going to move. We're thinking maybe even next week to come out with a paper, and I'll certainly talk about it with you on the air.
Please do.
On how much money we're spending and whether all this new money that came last year amounts to much. And it doesn't.
By the way, Bill Stowe was a friend of the Iowa Policy Project, and he's very ill.
Yeah.
Bill Stowe of the Des Moines Water Works, who was not popular up here in our part of the world because of a lawsuit filed against the counties of Buena Vista, Sac, and Calhoun County. But I want to tell you, he has a cancer in his cancer of the brain.
Oh dear!
And the last I knew, he was entering hospice.
Oh,
and he's 60 years old and had been vigorous until recently. And I would ask that everyone keep Mr. Stowe in his prayers. What is happening to Bill Stowe is exactly what happened to my wife 22 years ago, and I most certainly wouldn't wish that on anyone. It's a very rough way, and I can only hope for the best for Bill Stowe, and I hope we are all decent enough people to do the same. Anyway, David Osterberg has been our guest. A final thought here?
Gambling, no good.
Gambling, no good?
Mm-hmm.
How about weed? Can I smoke a joint? Can I smoke a joint, Parson Grimm, for God's sake?
Different argument.
Can't do that either. Huh? All right. I'll work on the public nudity thing here in Fort Dodge. All right, David Osterberg, executive or the co-founder of the Iowa Policy Project. Thank you very much, David.
Good to talk, Mike.
All right, this is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge, 42 degrees. I'm supposed to be Merry Sunshine Radio, but this is just a rotten day. So the best thing to do is cuddle up next to your radio there, darling. And we do have Steve Peterson of the Farm Bureau coming up here in just a minute. The news is next, and you're listening to AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Thank you very much.
If you're a gearhead or not, you'll enjoy the Under the Hood Car Show every Saturday afternoon from 2 till 4 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD.
A crash landing on the moon. Lisa Brady, Fox News. Moments ago in Israel.
Well, we didn't make it, but we definitely tried.
Billionaire Morris Khan spearheaded the effort to make Israel the fourth country to land on the moon and the first with a private spacecraft.
And I think that the achievement of getting to where we got is really tremendous. I think we can be proud.
Fox's Phil Keating monitored the attempt.
The plan was when it was about 2.5 seconds away from touchdown, it was actually going to stop its thrusters and essentially float down there at 0 kilometers an hour. Somewhere in that period, in those last 20, 25 seconds, we believe, is where something may have gone slightly off kilter. Maybe it landed on its side, didn't land perfectly on its pods, or maybe it ended up coming down way too hard.
The company involved, Space IL, is expected to try again. He still says he's innocent, but attorney Michael Avenatti could now face life behind bars if convicted on all charges in a 36-count federal indictment, accused, among other things, of stealing or hiding millions from clients, including a paraplegic, mentally ill client.
Investigators say instead of giving that paraplegic client his money, Avenatti spent it on himself. The indictment says when the client filed documents for disability, Avenatti allegedly ignored sending the settlement information to the government, knowing it could show the alleged embezzlement. As a result, the client stopped receiving his disability checks.
Fox's Jeff Paul. The federal indictment stems from California charges. Avenatti still faces other allegations in New York. He denies everything. Lawyers for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange say he will fight extradition to the U.S. and federal charges of conspiracy to commit computer hacking. He was forcibly removed from Ecuador's embassy in London earlier today. Asylum revoked. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring is prime home buying season, so if you're thinking about buying a home, right now is the time to lock a low rate, which can save you money every month on your new mortgage. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Former Obama administration lawyer is facing charges in a case stemming from the Russia probe.
White House counsel in the Obama administration, Greg Craig, has been charged with making false statements and concealing information from the Justice Department. Specifically, Craig is accused about concealing facts about his work performed for the Ukrainian government. Investigators homed in on Craig as part of the investigation into former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort's work with the pro-Russia party in Ukraine. Prosecutors said Craig and a partner were hired in 2012 by the Ukrainian government. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Hate is being investigated as a possible motive in the recent fires that devastated 3-century-old historically black churches in southern Louisiana.
It has been especially painful because it reminds us of a very dark past of intimidation and fear.
Governor John Bel Edwards as the suspect in custody was named. 21-year-old Holden Matthews, who is white and the son of a sheriff's deputy. He's facing 3 arson counts. The churches were empty at the time. The NAACP has called those fires domestic terrorism. A federal judge threatens to ban Carnival cruise ships from the U.S., questioning whether the company may have violated a court order.
Carnival Cruise Lines is in the midst of a 5-year probation period after being fined tens of millions of dollars for polluting oceans by dumping oil. And now federal prosecutors tell a judge in Miami the cruise line continues to pollute and is falsifying records. After a lengthy reprimand, the judge says she might block Carnival and its subsidiary cruise lines come June if the company isn't complying. Carnival says in a statement that their practices are being mischaracterized and that they will address each issue. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Mixed finish barely on Wall Street. The Dow down 14 points. The S&P up a fraction. I'm Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. A Fort Dodge teenager has been charged in the murder of a Des Moines woman last week. 16-year-old Datavion John Goley of Fort Dodge faces first-degree murder and robbery charges after 18-year-old Sakira Bonner was found lying in a West Des Moines road late on Friday night. Bonner was later pronounced dead at a local hospital after authorities say she was beaten and shot. 2 others were charged with first-degree murder and first-degree robbery, 20-year-old John Darius Lewis of Des Moines and 17-year-old Eleazar Montoya Gam of Des Moines. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation West Des Moines Police continue to investigate. The Colorado man who allegedly threw water Representative Steve King last month has filed a motion to have his trial moved down to the 4th Congressional District. 26-year-old Blake Gibbons of Lafayette, Colorado pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of assault and a disorderly conduct charge, both simple misdemeanors. Gibbons' attorney Paul Statler of Des Moines filed a motion for a change of venue on Monday because of pre-trial publicity on the case. Gibbons' trial was originally scheduled for April 30th, but Statler filed a motion to reschedule because of a conflict on the date. A new trial date has not been announced. The Fort Dodge Community School District announced on Wednesday that Sarah Fitzgerald will be the next principal at Fieldhaver Elementary School in Fort Dodge, starting with the 2019-2020 school year. Fitzgerald currently serves as an instructional coach and new teacher mentor at Fort Dodge Middle School. She replaces current principal Nancy Cross, who resigned effective at the end of the school year to move closer to family in eastern Iowa, whom she will help care for. The Prestige Foods pork plant just south of Eagle Grove is open, and the past president of the Iowa Pork Producers Association, Greg Hora, says production at the plant continues to ramp up. Hora said yesterday on the Divine Intervention show that profits in the pork industry are currently high.
Within the pork industry, and we should be happy about that in Iowa, is that we're seeing some more profits right now due to the African swine fever that is rampant not only in China, but some other countries. So we're seeing our summer pork prices go up pretty dramatically, about 20% here in the last 2 months. That brings us profitability back into the industry.
Hora mentioned that this year's World Pork Expo in Des Moines in June has been canceled because of the threat of African swine fever.
They're still having a live show down there for U.S. exhibitors, but we're just concerned about those foreigners that might come here, and if we would have a disease break, how financially devastating that would be.
Hora says that an outbreak of African swine fever would shut down the borders for any exports of pork and would be financially devastating. A central Iowa city is being named among the best places in the country to live, as Radio Iowa's Matt Kelly reports.
Out of 125 metro areas, the rankings from U.S. News & World Report place Des Moines as the 5th best place to live. The list is compiled based on a series of criteria, including cost of living, job market, crime rates, and quality of education. The rest of the top 5 are Fayetteville, Arkansas, Colorado Springs, Denver, and in first place, Austin, Texas. The magazine also ranked Des Moines the number 3 best affordable place to live. Radio Iowa, I'm Matt Kelly.
I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies. High of 51, southeasterly winds 20 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy skies again tonight, chance of snow, lows level off around 31. Chance for mixed precipitation tomorrow, 41. A dusting of snow tomorrow. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 42.
Have you ever wondered how the brain works? What makes us tick? Join me, Greg Woods, every Wednesday morning for all the latest news on the brain, on aging, and the science behind it all. It's The Mind Boggles, every Wednesday morning at 8:30 on AM 1400 KVFD.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
Oh, why not just cremate me when I'm gone?
Sounds simple, doesn't it? However, there are many options to consider when cremation is chosen. From simple to detailed, we at Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services can help you create a unique commemoration.
Gunderson Funeral Home and Cremation Services.
This is Chris Heslop with Star Energy FS. I understand that time is a precious commodity, especially when it comes to your operation. That's why I am dedicated to be the best at providing business solutions for your operation. FS proudly supports the local communities we serve and is committed to helping your operation continue to run smoothly so that you can spend more time with those you care the most about. Star Energy FS is your local, reliable supplier for fuel, lubricant, and propane needs. FS, the people and the products to take you further.
Spring into color at Merle Norman, where you'll find the season's freshest shades. Our latest collection is the ultimate pick-me-up for the winter blues. You'll be right on trend with refreshing shades of coral and pink for lips and cheeks and earthy neutrals for the eyes. Stop by today and try our limited edition colors before they're gone. Looking beautiful is as easy as walking in our doors. Merle Norman, located inside Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor, 1108 Central Avenue, downtown Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine, the mayor of Manville.
It's a fancy title for a part-time job.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
I'm definitely the mayor of Manville, AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. That's right. If you live in Fort Dodge, you get your man card right away, no matter what gender you are. If you'd care to join the program, it's always 515-955-1400. By the way, I have SoundCloud posts of almost all of my segments on my Facebook page, AM 1400 KVFD, and you can join us live, audio and video on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, type in AM 1400 KVFD, and you'll see me there with, I'm the mayor of Manville, but with me here now is the former president of the Webster County Farm Bureau, Steve Peterson. How you doing, Steve?
Good, Mike. How are you today?
Well, I'm very good. The weather sucks, as you know.
It's Iowa. It's changed again.
It's changed again.
We get all 4 seasons in 1 week.
Boy, they really got pasted up in the Dakotas.
Yes,
I think we dodged it for the most part.
We did. I look at several different weather forecasts, and I remember at the elevator at Coffee about 2 weeks ago, I was looking at a European model, and a lot of times they differ than the American models. And that model had this. They've got all these new names for the weather that comes in. This one is a cyclone bomb or
something. Yeah.
They've come up with these new terms, and it's hard to keep them straight, but that model had this particular weather system tracking through Iowa.
Sure.
And had us getting, upwards of 12 to 20 inches of snow. Everyone thought I was crazy. Luckily that system, lucky for us, sorry for the people in the Dakotas and Minnesota, that nasty system is currently tracking through there, and bad deal. And the winds here have been horrific the last couple of days. I've heard of some, quite a few farmers, power line damage, some machine shed doors blown off. There's wind has a weird way of finding everything loose in the countryside, and I'm sure it does here in the city too.
So. Well, I told you before we went on air, blew the cap right off my roof. The crown cap on the roof there. Ripped it didn't rip the whole thing off, but it ripped a good part of it off.
Yeah.
And it really blew, man. Really blew.
I'd say at least in our area we survived pretty good for some of the potential rain that we could have gotten. I think total right now in our region I'm hearing anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to just under an inch. So that's pretty good for I think what was the possibility.
Yeah.
And because we were of course I wasn't here on Tuesday, and the fields would have started to getting pretty good on Wednesday. They get just about ready to go about the time it rains. There's been a few farmers out scratching around, especially you go down a little further south, and hydrous application and some tillage. There was a lot of, with the floods this spring, there was a lot of debris and corn stalks that were kind of piled up in some fields. Some guys starting to do some leveling and trying to do a little catch up work from the abrupt end that we got last fall. So, but yeah, as soon as the ground starts getting fit, Mother Nature, she kind of seems to want to take control all the time.
Well, that's just the way it is, I guess.
It is.
It's just the way it is.
It is.
Yeah, it's we're going to get to spring again though on Monday. We're going to have a fairly decent weekend.
We will.
It's not going to be warm by any stretch of the imagination. We're going to have to wear our jackets through the weekend.
Yeah.
So unless if you're a 17-year-old kid at Hy-Vee who wears shorts and sandals today.
I know some I know some adults that wear shorts and everything year round. So.
Oh, do they really?
Oh yeah. And but Tuesday I wasn't here. That was probably the most beautiful day I think we've had this spring, and
70-some degrees.
I pay pretty close attention to winds and everything, and I had to do a prescribed burn on some of my conservation acres, and that seemed to be kind of the thing to do that day. If you ventured outside the city, you would have seen the smoke plumes in the countryside, and what those are is we. In our contracts that we have with the FSA office, we have what's called mid-contract maintenance agreements. So basically, in a 10-year contract, halfway through it, we have options we can do. We can either till it all up and reseed it, or we can do these prescribed burns. Those are the two most common things we do, and we have to do it between April 1st and May 15th to stay out of the nesting season for the birds, so we're not harming any wildlife. And we do these controlled burns on the grasses.
Sure.
And it's just dark as can be. It's very effective at getting rid of weeds and everything. But boy, you get a rain like this and a little bit of sunshine, it's amazing how lush and green that grass will come back in there. So if you're out in the countryside, those are what you're seeing right now. And there's a few scattered in there that are burning the excess trash buildup from, like I said, the floods deposited some.
Right.
That tends not to burn real well because we haven't had completely dry areas, so it will smoke and smolder. But most of these are CRP burns, conservation reserve burns, and it's just part of a maintenance deal. And you can burn small parts and do it over a 3-year period, or you can burn the whole thing. And some of those fires get pretty darn big, because some of these tracts of land are pretty good size.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also a good time to go out and to get rid of any tree saplings that might have taken root, or just do some of that maintenance. And this is a good time of year to do that stuff. And I was kind of watching the wind, and it was the only day that in that particular forecast. Now next week I see they changed it, of course.
Right.
And but the next window I'm probably going to be a little more concerned of hoping to plant and do some other field work when the next window of opportunity we get. So it's just nice to get it done and get it out of the way.
Sure.
Sometimes it doesn't work out that you can burn, and it's just some more paperwork that you got to do, and or you might have to change your options. But we're pretty much forbidden to do anything once we get into a nesting season of the birds and stuff like that. So we're just trying to keep these grounds in good condition and healthy. And it's just like I said, it's part of our contract in the conservation reserve program. So.
Yeah, well, you never know. It's a good thing you explain that, because some, what does Rush Limbaugh call them? Environmentalist wackos when they come running out of the woods talking about a fire and destroying the habitat, or God knows what those people mean.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And a lot of
they don't know about nature or taking care of the ground. Or
yeah, and and as being on a volunteer fire department, we do a few of these burns, and I know a lot of local fire departments do. And honestly, they're good practice, and it gets the equipment out, and you can run some pumps.
You're on the fire department somewhere, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in Farnhamville.
Farnhamville.
So, because when it comes time to manage field fires, that are not intentionally, it is good to kind of understand them and be around them and see how they act, and because they're unique. Everyone's different, and but sometimes people will ask the local fire departments to come, especially if the ground happens to be near a site that they do not want to burn. So
Sure.
we'll protect the sites or buildings or whatnot. So, but yeah, that's what I was doing Tuesday, and so I got that done. That's checked off my list. One thing finally checked off my list for the spring. Equipment's
well, that's a good thing.
I think my equipment's all ready to go and fueled up, and it's pointed towards the field, but it happens to be sitting in a machine shed right now.
The frost is all the way out of the ground by now, I guess.
I talked to several guys that are in tiling crews, and they're kind of, everyone wants to talk to the tiling guy. And I think the term that we would use is there are isolated pockets of frost, but it's starting to get to be a pretty rotten frost is kind of the term they use.
Rotten frost.
It's like a slushy now. So it was quite deep. Even up to 2 weeks ago, there was places where there was still the top soil, 8-10 inches down might have been thawed out, but there was up to 2 feet of frozen ground below that.
We had a cold winter there.
That 50-degree, we were negative 40, 50 degree there.
That's right.
And
about 6 weeks running.
And
too.
we didn't have a lot of snow cover at that time, and that really can drive and we had moisture too in the ground, so that can drive that frost pretty deep. I haven't really talked to anyone that's done a lot of tillage, but I'm expecting the ground to be pretty mellow. As many times as we froze and thawed, Mother Nature does. She does a pretty good job of breaking the ground up. And we'll generally have a very mellow soil type this year. So you kind of hate to. You can mess a lot of it up in the springtime.
Yeah.
Sometimes the work we do in the fall, we can do a lot of mistakes, and Mother Nature will correct those for us over the wintertime. And but you do it right now, and you're gonna deal with it all season long. So, but I think the next go around that we see in when the fields are able to get back in there, there's gonna be some guys going hard.
Yeah.
So
sure,
it will be.
You got to keep up with the neighbors or beat them, even better.
Well, there's a lot of that seems to go on in the countryside.
Is.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. There is.
Yeah. I think, it's wherever you go. And I've seen several, there's a lot of jokes on YouTube and videos made about that. And so it's, in fact, one of my grain marketing guy, he had to get a joke on me this morning. He said, you know what a 4x4 stands by on the side of a farmer's truck? And I kind of thought about it. There's a million things, I guess, sandboard. He said it's 4 weeks work in the spring, 4 weeks in the fall, and was it however many weeks you don't work? And I mean, there's all kinds of people that have things like that. So, but it's we're plugging ahead, and hopefully Mother Nature is going to straighten out, and we can get some windows to work. So it's hard telling. Everything can change, but usually about the time it gets ready to go, it seems like she'll throw a monkey wrench at us. And but there's a lot of anhydrous been going on. The co-ops have been pretty steady there. They had about 2.5 days of window where they could apply. That hardly makes a dent in the amount that needs done. So there's still going to be and there's various guys. I've heard some are going to change the nitrogen source. There's a liquid 32% that can be applied. There's also a granular urea that is an option. Right now, though, and the anhydrous ammonia is probably the most economical form and one of the more stable forms that we can use. But then the markets, that's kind of in the back of everyone's head. The trade wars are, still going on. We keep getting teasers about some of these, maybe an end in sight.
I talked with Greg Horry yesterday, and I invited Greg to my Rotary Club meeting on Monday.
Yeah.
One of the first things he said is the USMCA agreement is coming unwound.
It is.
I thought that was done in the bank before Christmas.
It should have been.
Why? Do you have any idea?
Well, the funny thing about these is basically it's just an up or down vote in Congress, but and they have it that way so that politics can't get involved in these deal-making deals, because then you'd be dealing with a few hundred people in Mexico, a few hundred people in Canada, and a few hundred people in the United States. Well, the administration of whatever party is involved, they send their people and they negotiate these deals, and how it is, it's in good faith that the countries basically just have to give an up or down vote if they're in or they're out. It's not the trade negotiation style isn't meant for for all of Congress to get their 2 cents in, and start tweaking it. But if we did that, it won't get done.
Right.
I mean, it would be impossible to get done. And the USMCA deal for the Midwestern farmer, grain farmer, I guess, it really didn't change a whole lot, but it gave us clear, defined paths forward and some stability in the market. It did some good things for dairy. It did, I think, some really good things for the auto workers and the kind of the blue collar jobs of America with, restrictions on foreign parts and wages and some stuff like that, which from what I understand of the old agreement, some of those workers kind of got left out.
Oh, definitely.
And there was some things, and the dairy thing was kind of a wild card with Canada that just got out of control.
Yeah.
And so there was some corrections made there. So I don't know if I don't know why it needs to be where it's at right now, but it seems like it's further away than ever before. If and when the China deal, which I believe Secretary Mnuchin yesterday had some, like they were getting close, and I think they've at least got a pathway to some mechanisms to deal with the intellectual property and some of those sticking points. But if we got to run it through our Congress the way they're working out there, I don't know.
I don't know either. There's so much poison in the atmosphere. It's starting to make no sense.
Yeah.
It's starting to make no sense at all. We have to move forward together.
Right. So and then another big thing for the ag community and there, I mean, on the horizon, I guess in Washington, some things we're watching is there's comment periods on the waters of the U.S. and right now, I believe they're an open comment right now. And right now, I know the Farm Bureau is very supportive of the current language that's been rewritten as far as clarity and you shouldn't need a doctorate degree to understand if that's the government's water or your water. And the other one was
you really shouldn't.
The other one was about as clear as mud of really what their jurisdiction was or wasn't, and what was considered waters of the United States government and what was on private property, what was considered farmers. So the new rule definitely clarifies that. So that's in a comment period. Something else that's kind of on the horizon and being talked about is the new standards for the renewable fuel standard coming up, I believe, in the 2021 marketing year. And this E15 looks like it's marching forward, but they're still handing out those RIN waivers like they're candy. So they're completely defeating the purpose of any expansion in ethanol by what they're giving away. And that's a real problem for the American farmer. And they're completely sidestepping the intent of that program.
Yeah, I've got to calm down. I hear these things and I get so worked up sometimes.
Yeah. So meanwhile, I heard last you talked about gambling and all that, and I guess that doesn't really bother me that much because as a farmer, we gamble every day.
Gamble all the time. Yeah.
We're gambling all the time. And unfortunately, some of our dealers can't be trusted. So, we're dealing with rules that are changing, and the lines are always getting redrawn.
You got tougher dealers than the casinos, I think.
So it's a trying thing.
Well, it's got to be. And this USMCA thing is particularly frustrating. I mean, Bill Horn made a special point to come in here and tell us he thought it was pretty much a done thing. That was before Christmas.
Yes.
And now we're supposed to have E15 year round.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't seen it. We're going to go in for a short and tough trade war, but we're going to be out pretty soon. Haven't seen an end to it in China.
Correct.
Hey, okay. See, I'm getting worked up again. So we're going to take a break. We'll be back with Steve Peterson.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
All right, this is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I know you don't want to hear me rant today. The day is bad enough, weather-wise anyway. Steve Peterson is here from the Webster County Farm Bureau. We'll be back after the news. AM 1400 KVFD.
staying up all night long.
Even in my own home, I had my own designated space to smoke. If I think about it, it really was like I was punishing myself. A friend of mine said, why wouldn't you just try the Juul? And so I went out and I bought one. The idea of going back to smoking, I couldn't even imagine doing that. I don't think anyone, including myself, thought that I could switch.
Carolyn made the switch October 2016. Make the switch at JUUL.com. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Connect to this radio station from all across the country. Take us to the gym, shopping. How about a road trip? Listen to us now on the free iHeartRadio app. You'll never miss a moment with your favorite radio station. Download the free iHeartRadio app and search for this station so we can go wherever you want us to.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. A Fort Dodge teenager has been charged in the murder of a Des Moines woman last week. 16-year-old Datavion John Goley of Fort Dodge faces first-degree murder and robbery charges after 18-year-old Sakira Bonner was found lying in a West Des Moines road late on Friday night. Bonner was later pronounced dead at a local hospital after authorities say she was beaten and shot. Two others were charged with first-degree murder and first-degree robbery, 20-year-old John Darius Lewis of Des Moines and 17-year-old Eleazar Montoya Gam of Des Moines. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation West Des Moines Police continue to investigate. The Colorado man who allegedly threw water Representative Steve King last month has filed a motion to have his trial moved down to the 4th Congressional District. 26-year-old Blake Gibbons of Lafayette, Colorado pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of assault and a disorderly conduct charge, both simple misdemeanors. Gibbons' attorney Paul Statler of Des Moines filed a motion for a change of venue on Monday because of pre-trial publicity on the case. Gibbons' trial was originally scheduled for April 30th, but Statler filed a motion to reschedule because of a conflict on the date. A new trial date has not been announced. The Fort Dodge Community School District announced on Wednesday that Sarah Fitzgerald will be the next principal at Fieldhaver Elementary School in Fort Dodge, starting with the 2019-2020 school year. Fitzgerald currently serves as an instructional coach and new teacher mentor at Fort Dodge Middle School. She replaces current principal Nancy Cross, who resigned effective at the end of the school year to move closer to family in eastern Iowa, whom she will help care for. The Prestige Foods pork plant just south of Eagle Grove is open, and the past president of the Iowa Pork Producers Association, Greg Hora, says production at the plant continues to ramp up. Hora said yesterday on the Divine Intervention show that profits in the pork industry are currently high.
Within the pork industry, and we should be happy about that in Iowa, is that we're seeing some more profits right now due to the African swine fever that is rampant not only in China, but some other countries. So we're seeing our summer pork prices go up pretty dramatically, about 20% here in the last 2 months. That brings us profitability back into the industry.
Hora mentioned that this year's World Pork Expo in Des Moines in June has been canceled because of the threat of African swine fever.
They're still having a live show down there for U.S. exhibitors, but we're just concerned about those foreigners that might come here, and if we would have a disease break, how financially devastating that would be.
Hora says that an outbreak of African swine fever would shut down the borders for any exports of pork and would be financially devastating. A central Iowa city is being named among the best places in the country to live, as Radio Iowa's Matt Kelly reports.
Out of 125 metro areas, the rankings from U.S. News and World Report place Des Moines as the 5th best place to live. The list is compiled based on a series of criteria, including cost of living, job market, crime rates, and quality of education. The rest of the top 5 are Fayetteville, Arkansas, Colorado Springs, Denver, and in first place, Austin, Texas. The magazine also ranked Des Moines the number 3 best affordable place to live. Radio Iowa, I'm Matt Kelly.
I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies. High of 51, southeasterly winds 20 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy skies again tonight, chance of snow, lows level off around 31. Chance for mixed precipitation tomorrow, 41. A dusting of snow tomorrow. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 44.
Here's how the markets closed on Thursday. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting for Dwayne Murley. Grains were lower on Thursday. May soybeans down 6 3/4 at $8.95 1/4. July down 6 1/2 at $9.08 3/4. November beans down 6 1/4 at $9.28 1/4. Soybean meal for May down $2.90 a ton at $307.20. May bean oil down 9 points at $28.98. May core down 1 3/4 at $3.60. July core down 2 at $3.68 3/4. December core down 2 1/4 at $3.88 1/2. May Chicago wheat 2.5 higher at $4.60.5. May Kansas City winter wheat up 4.25 at $4.30.5. Spring wheat 2 to 4 higher. Feeder cattle higher. April up 25 at $145.42. May up 62 at $149.85. April live cattle up 12 at $126. June live cattle up 47 at $120.42. August live cattle up 37 at $117.37. And the hog trade, April up 32 at $79.22. May hogs up 142 at $88.40. June hogs up 125 at $97.70 on Thursday. I'm Jesse Stewart reporting.
The U.S. dietary guidelines are released every 5 years by the U.S. Departments of Agriculture and Health. But what are they and who decides what is published in the guidelines? Hi, I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield. The dietary guidelines provide food-based recommendations to improve health, prevent diet-related diseases, and meet our nutrient needs. The process to create the 2020 dietary guidelines is underway now, and a committee of 20 experts will develop a report based on scientific evidence over the next year. The report will likely include information on plant-based and low-carbohydrate diets and how they might impact health. Nutrition experts told the advisory committee recently that health could improve for many Americans if they followed the guidelines more closely. USDA nutritionist Dr. Tusa Rebecca Panucci says there is room for improvement. She says on the Healthy Eating Index, out of a possible score of 100,
the average score in America is 59.
And for vegetables and dairy,
about 90% of the population falls short of the recommendation.
The score for fruits is a little better at 80%. The first set of dietary guidelines was released in 1980. I'm Julie Harker with Healthy Living on Brownfield.
Good morning, Uglyville! Every ugly doll is unique.
I'm Moxie.
Bobo.
Wait.
Those close to me call me Slick Dog.
Which is not his name.
And every child is too.
He can be pretty lovable.
That's why when you travel, you should make sure your child is in the right seat for their age and size.
That sounds pretty great to me.
Keep them safe by visiting nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Isn't that right, gibberish cat?
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Did you know 22 Americans die each day waiting for organ transplants, most of them for kidneys? The good news is that MatchingDonors.com is helping to change that. MatchingDonors.com is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that links organ donors with people in desperate need of kidneys and other transplants. And now you don't need to donate a kidney to save a life. You can donate your boat, car, or real estate, with 100% of the proceeds going to help save the lives of people needing organ transplants. Visit MatchingDonors.com or call 800-385-0422.
I can't wait for Cakes and Prizes.
Cakes and Prizes? Where are you going?
DSOC's annual cake auction. They pair really cool prizes with awesome cakes. It's so fun. Last year I won the Ben on concert tickets, and the cake that came with it was so delicious.
Cakes and Prizes? Chances to win? I'll be there.
Don't miss DSOC's 24th annual cake auction, Saturday, April 13th. Doors open at 5 with a silent auction, appetizers, and a live auction starting at 6:30. Bring your friends to DSOC's 24th annual cake auction on the East Campus of Iowa Central, Fort Dodge.
Find your way to Wild Rose and you could drive away in a new Jeep Compass. Valued at more than $32,000, we're giving away a 2019 Jeep Compass Limited 4x4 Saturday, May 4th. Get qualified when you win a hot seat every Saturday through May 4th at Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson. Must be 21 or older. If you're someone who cable treatment, call me 100 And don't miss the Gin Blossoms live in concert Saturday, May 4th, only at Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson. Tickets on sale now. You'd rather be here.
When severe weather threatens, keep it here for the Severe Weather Advisor. Brought to you by Creative Signs and Graphics, Fort Dodge. For signs, decals, vehicle graphics, magnets, logos, customized documents, and more. If your business needs it, Creative Signs and Graphics can make it. And a stitch above the rest embroidery, Fort Dodge. Step out in style with quality brands, timely turnaround, and professional service. A stitch above the rest. Embroidery professionals worth finding. Remember, when severe weather threatens, stay with your friends on KVFD.
Hi, I'm Jamie Brundage, owner of Historic Bruce Funeral Home. When you're planning the memorialization of your loved one, you're telling their story and sharing special memories with your family and friends. At Historic Bruce Funeral Home, we're proud to help you celebrate the life of your loved one, and we're here to guide you with your selections as we help you and your family say goodbye in a way that's right for you. Our staff is committed to compassionate care and attention to detail. Historic Bruce Funeral Home, Fort Dodge. Online at brucesfuneralhome.com.
Michael Devine, the Doctor of Truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
At AM 1400 KVFD.
Here's to us without men. Woo! Here. I'm not toasting to that. It's bad luck. Yeah. If I end up old and alone, it's all your fault.
Oh, Charlotte, sweetie, we're all alone, even when we're with men.
Yeah, you tell her, Mr. Sister.
My advice to you is to embrace that fact. Slap on some armor and go through life like I do, enjoying men, but not expecting them to fill you up. Except when, well, you know. When
You two are making me feel smart.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Yeah, that didn't go well at all, so we'll just get that off the air. AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. This portion of the program, this segment brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. Not surprisingly, we have a Webster County Farm Bureau member, past president Steve Peterson in the room. Steve was in China not long ago, and it's always interesting to hear about the differences in our cultures because they're vast.
Oh, it was an incredible experience to go there, and it was I've talked a little bit about it on here before, but there was about 26 of us from the Farm Bureau and scattered all across Iowa.
Sure.
And a lot of different avenues. I, of course, was a row crop farmer,
Sure.
and we had some dairy people. We had, of course, hog production and cattle production and whatnot. And it was a kind of picking up off of listening to Greg Horry yesterday with the World Pork Expo being canceled.
Right.
That was quite a topic before we went to China, and I know the Iowa pork producers and Greg. I know he reached out to our president, Craig Hill, and there was some conversations there and some conversation with some veterinary officials, and our trip did get some of the regions we went to did get changed because of the confirmed outbreaks at that point of the African swine fever, and so. We ended up going a little further west in China to the Chengdu region, which after we got back, that is now one of the regions that has broken with the African swine fever since I've been there. But they're putting safety first, with the World Pork Expo in Des Moines.
Sure, of course.
It's kind of a shame in some ways, but one of the biggest benefits to basically agricultural products in the United States is our safety. And we're a country that can deliver with our infrastructure, and we provide a safe product, whether it's the grains or the meats or anything in the protein area. And so you got to give them credit for doing that first. And when you're coming from possibly that was an event that's attended by people from all over the world.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because we're at the forefront.
That's the real reason why I think they.
Well, sure it is, and you can't necessarily control. So I can give examples of what our group went through. So when we were in the Chengdu region, when we left there, like my shoes stayed, my socks.
That makes sense.
Anything that could have come in contact with the ground, because that's there's an incubation period, and our next stop was Hong Kong, and so we left shoes, and then from Hong Kong, when we left there, right before we left, we had orders to scrub our shoes with our toothbrush. So we used hot soapy water and scrubbed the bottoms of our shoes there where we left. And then when we come home, now I personally, my clothing stayed, basically I left that suitcase in a self-imposed quarantine when I got home. So nothing came out of that suitcase for about 7 days. I personally know one of the members on our trip. Now he was a pig producer. Now he stayed out of his hog confinement buildings for at least a week. His wife picked him up in a rental car, took him to a hotel where he changed clothes, showered before they got in their car to go stay with his mom and dad for a week off-site of his farm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those were some of the extreme measures that our group took. And when we were over in China talking to some of those producers and farmers there, they had no idea of biosecurity, what we dealt with. And there was some attempts, I think, to give a public image of biosecurity. They had the mats that you were supposed to walk on that would have the disinfectants and stuff like that, but they were dry. The one place we did go, they gave us some booties to put on, like over your shoes.
Mm-hmm.
They were cloth. And
they
were cloth, and when you were done, you just threw them back in the same bucket that you grabbed them out of. So I don't know if they were really clean or
It's
not.
not high biosecurity.
It was more of a fashion statement because they were
Fashion statement.
they had an animal print on them. So I mean they look kind of neat, but
Yeah.
it wasn't what I would consider a viable biosecurity
Biosecurity,
by any means.
It doesn't sound like it. No.
But yeah, so our members, we were aware of the risk, and the Iowa Farm Bureau was not going to bring African swine flu back to the United States. I mean, that was not going to happen. Some of the problems that there were some challenges, at least what we've seen in China, that they don't have a way to because the main problem is a lot of the people there don't know what they're dealing with, so they are not actually given factual information, where I think here in America, Greg and any pork producer, biosecurity is first and foremost. They are going to have a show down there that will have live animals, but those will all be domestic animals. But I believe if there is a whiff of anything, that would be canceled in a heartbeat, unfortunately.
Yeah, well,
and in a few years ago, you got to kind of look at the restrictions that went on with, we had the avian flu. The bird events at our county local fairs were canceled, and down at the state fair they got rid of all that. So it was we can do a very good job here domestically.
Sure.
Having thousands of people potentially come in uncontrolled, unaware, uneducated, that would be a risk.
Yeah.
So safety, it would be a detriment to our industries.
And we're moving into a time where the pork industry is especially important for our region. With I told
the
Greg.
pork industry for me right now, our exports and one of the downsides of the soy, if you watch the soybean market, with the African swine flu looking like it could be decimate the Asian hog, because they have a lot of pigs in Asia. If it decimates that herd over there, their demand, what they need from us in soybeans, is also going to drastically go down. Let alone the damage we've done, temporarily with the trade wars. Without that basically consumer existing over there, we're going to need to feed those animals here. And in America, we've got a thriving industry. If we can feed it here and use it and have a robust market here, I guess I'm all for that. Now, there's probably going to be some concern of fueling the fire and the argument of how many pigs is too much and this and that. But right now there's been an uptick, and I think Greg talked about finally there's a little more profitability in some of these. But as a row crop farmer, I need the demand too, or I need the source to sell the product.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a I really don't care where it goes, but I need it to go somewhere. So,
and it might as well go close by.
Sure, it might as well go close by, because close by, we see an uptick there. It's going to be more demand. It's going to be more jobs. There's going to be more feed delivered, more feed produced. our companies out at the egg park are producing, products that go in animal feed. We've got, a vast industry here in Fort Dodge that, is making vaccines and it's an all-in effort in this area. So, I look forward to having some increased demand.
Yeah.
If we can grow it and ship it, that'll be great. Now, I think after being in China and seeing how they consume pork over there, it's going to be a little challenging to me. I don't quite understand how we're going to get, because they do a lot of fresh pork.
They do a lot of fresh pork.
So, and that's one of the challenges that they have over there is where we have like our new modern state-of-the-art processing facility up in Eagle Grove that's doing a lot of, I don't think they're doing a lot of small cuts. They're doing more primal cuts, and then they're going to other regions. But in China, they tend to process their pork much closer to the end user, because there's a lack of refrigeration, and so they're potentially transporting these live infected animals great distances. So, and so when they're it's just the chance of infection and carrying those viruses is 100 times more possible there, where here in America or our domestic production, they don't have those risks because we're not transporting the animals live as far, but we're freezing and transporting the cuts, and then processing them in our grocery stores and so it's got its challenges, but it's unfortunate with the World Pork Expo being canceled this year, but hopefully we'll make some headway, and I definitely don't want to see that disease brought here to the United States. That would be just, I think, devastating.
I still, and I've talked about this with several people, that shipment sitting in New Jersey.
Yeah, and we've talked about that. I still have never heard a definitive why.
What other reason can there be than to infect our pork production?
Some of the Chinese officials that we talked to over there was very, I don't know how, but they put it. They said one of the easiest ways that it could possibly get in the United States is through, especially the chew toys for dogs and stuff.
Chew toys.
Well, they send a lot of pork ears and bones and stuff like that.
Oh, that sort of thing.
That would kind of a backdoor way in to have that disease exposed here, but it still would have to find its way to the swine, because the disease, it doesn't affect the humans. It's just a very high mortality rate on the pigs. So, but there's that import thing is still sketchy to me. I've never heard a good.
It can't be proven. I mean, I can't prove it. But what a bunch of concealed pork in a ship?
Yeah, hidden.
In China doesn't export pork.
No, so that just seems a little sketchy to me in a lot of different ways. But yeah, we definitely. I mean, they're talking. If that disease broke, it would instantaneously take a huge chunk out of our export ability here in America. And you can look at years past. Less than 5 years ago, we had a very robust poultry export to the Asian market, and then when that avian flu broke, we lost that, and we've never gotten that market back. So
really,
that's what a disease can do. And since then, with American ingenuity and the bioscience and groups like the Diagnostic Lab and Ames and the resources we have here, they've developed vaccines, and I think they've gotten a pretty good handle on that now. But that was a challenging deal, and that was an all hands on deck effort with the birds to contain that and discover it. But
how did the poultry producers recover from that?
Well, I don't know that they fully ever really have.
Yeah,
I mean, we learned a lot of lessons of what to do and what not to do. But and going forward, we got a vaccine developed, and I think they've taken some pretty good strides and to neutralize that risk. But there will always be something else, and so hopefully technology can come up with a defense against this. Everything I've read is probably 10 years out. I think if you're a betting person, it probably at some point will be knocking on our door. But hopefully, the biosecurity measures taken by the pork producers and those in charge will protect us from that.
Well, I haven't heard of it in the Western Hemisphere yet, but we got all these, and I'm not trying to demonize illegals, but we got all these people running across the border from Central America, for God's sake, South America.
Yeah.
Even I don't know what's
But
going on.
the other thing in the Asian market, the vast majority of those hogs, I think they told us like 90% of those hogs are in backyard or very small, what we would call, primitive farming operations. They're feeding table scraps to pigs. It's
Sure.
kind of like the old days here.
Absolutely.
And and plus, when that person is not educated and knows about it, what to do and what not to do, a lot of them don't know what's wrong, and they're continuing to consume these animals, and it's no threat to the consumption of it, but then they go feed the table scraps, and it just
Right.
it just spreads.
Mhm.
So it's a challenging deal, but here in America, I think as of right now, we got a pretty good frontline defense. But I definitely understand not inviting or having an event where some potential people that didn't take the extreme measures we took as a Farm Bureau group in Asia coming back. If they didn't do that, you could be inviting it, and then someone here locally could be at that event and bring that home to them, and it would be a totally, it could be plausible that chain of you could connect the dots. So it's probably I think safety first is the right approach. Right
Sure. Absolutely. As always.
So,
yeah, gosh, I obviously I'm not a scientist, but I wonder how you can predict it. We're many, many years away from any sort of cure for African.
well, I think the science side of things, they have models and people that study that, and they do it in human diseases. Is it in New York right now? There's measles outbreak.
Yeah, they have these computer modalities, and they do it in high finance, as a matter of fact, that they can make projections.
Sure, of how things would spread.
Of high predictability. Yeah, how things, or where your money's going, and can you get a positive return on your money? And
yeah. So, I mean,
this
it's
is for people with a little bit more money than I have. I keep most of my extra money in my wallet.
So, but but other than that, it's unfortunate to hear that. And but I guess on a good note, it looks like the beginning farmer tax credits are churning their way through through the legislative down in Des Moines, and that's good.
Are those
news.
really going to help? Because I mean, you should know better than anybody else. It is a tremendous, tremendous investment to get involved in farming.
It is, but these are programs that are designed to kind of give a little bump to a guy getting into farming, whether it's a family member or a friend of a family, and it helps. Basically what it's doing is it gives a little bit of a tax credit to the owner of the farm, and it gives a little bit, maybe a little lower interest rate to the beginning operator, and it allows that beginning operator to also build some relationships with the local lenders, and it's kind of a win-win-win. Now these programs definitely are not they don't go on forever. I used these programs when I came back with my parents, and as you grow in the farm, you graduate out of these things, and there's seems to be new people coming in. So it's a tool, and it's not an open-ended tool. There's restrictions, and there's different restrictions for different programs. Some are by age, which those I don't really believe in a whole lot, because you can I came back to farm at 35 years old, which is not really considered young, but it's not so what
you're not a kid then.
What classifies a beginning farmer, and that was after I come out of a different career. So
high performance engines, right?
Correct. And and some are by net worth, because you have to give them your tax statements and returns and stuff like that. And some are just a time, a certain amount of time expires. So,
all right. Steve Peterson has been our guest. He is with the Webster County Farm Bureau. This portion of the program brought to you by the Webster County Farm Bureau. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Mike.
This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about and notice these results in 30 minutes? Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
All right, the news is next. You're listening to AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Leslie Segretti.
And I'm Tom Kreitler, and you can hear the Money Pit every Saturday afternoon from 4 to 6 on the voice of Fort Dodge, AM 1400 KVFD, Fort Dodge.
A spoiled brat. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's how Ecuador's president describes Julian Assange after the WikiLeaks founder was hauled out of the country's embassy in London earlier today, his asylum revoked, clearing the way to face federal hacking-related charges in the U.S.
This precedent means that any journalist can be extradited for prosecution in the United States for having published truthful information about the United States.
Attorney Jennifer Robinson says Assange will fight extradition to the U.S. The indictment unsealed today is related to Chelsea Manning's record leak of classified military documents, not the WikiLeaks dump of Democratic Party emails during the 2016 campaign. The lawyer who made a name for himself representing porn star Stormy Daniels could spend life in prison if convicted on all of the federal charges in a new indictment. Fox's Gernal Scott has this live.
Lisa, Michael Avenatti took to Twitter to deny the allegations against him. He says he'll plead not guilty when he gets his day in court. But California U.S. Attorney Nick Hanna says the crimes Avenatti is accused of, bank, tax, wire, and bankruptcy fraud, were woven together strategically.
Typically in the form of payments designed to string along victims so as to prevent Mr. Avenatti's financial house of cards from collapsing.
A private jet of Avenatti's was also taken as part of the investigation. If found guilty on all counts, Avenatti could face more than 300 years in prison, Lisa.
Gernal, the son of a sheriff's deputy, is accused of setting the fires at 3 historic black churches in Louisiana. Governor John Bel Edwards.
It cannot be justified or rationalized. These were evil acts.
21-year-old Holden Matthews facing 3 arson counts, but the case remains under investigation as a possible hate crime. Ohio just becoming the 5th state to ban abortions once a fetal heartbeat can be detected. The governor signing it into law. Opponents say they'll sue. This is Fox News.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Let's talk credit card debt for a minute. If you feel you're carrying too much of it, you're not alone. The average household in the U.S. carries over $8,000 in credit card debt. Ready for some good news? With a cash-out refinance from Quicken Loans, you can quickly and easily put some of the equity in your home to good use by paying off a lot of that high-interest credit card debt. A great way to take cash out is with our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.5%, APR 4.78%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN to learn how taking cash out with a 30-year fixed mortgage might be the right solution for you. And for a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rates subject to change. Pay 2% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
President Trump defending Attorney General William Barr for telling lawmakers there was spying on the Trump campaign.
I'll go a step further. In my opinion, it was illegal spying, unprecedented spying.
and something that should never be allowed to happen in our country again.
Barr has said he's reviewing whether the 2016 surveillance was justified and authorized. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer says Barr is peddling conspiracy theories.
He seems more like the president's press secretary than the attorney general.
And Schumer says that makes it harder to trust the upcoming redacted version of the Mueller report. Instead of just obeying your commands, Amazon's Alexa may be recording them so humans can review them, raising privacy concerns.
Bloomberg reporting that thousands of Amazon workers around the globe are listening and transcribing recordings of everyday people using their Alexa. Alexa is always listening for the word that lets the device know you've got a command to give. Alexa. But sometimes the task you ask her to handle for whatever reason isn't heard properly. That is where these humans come in. Their job is to listen to the audio and see what the device's artificial intelligence thinks you said, then make corrections to improve the system in the future. They're basically teaching Alexa to get smarter.
Fox's Brett Larson. It's not known how long it takes for a failed Alexa request to be reviewed. It's not happening in real time. But Amazon says the employees are not able to take recordings out of the office or discuss what they hear. Uber is getting ready to go public, filing for its initial public offering of stock within the past hour.
They file a placeholder amount for the listing of $1 billion. Now, what we understand is that the IPO would be the year's biggest. They're expected to raise $10 billion and an evaluation of $90 to $100 billion.
Fox Business Network's Jerry Willis. Uber says as of the end of last year, it had nearly 4 million drivers and an accumulated deficit of nearly $8 billion. Lisa Brady. This is Fox News.
Your news, your town, your station. KVFD News when it breaks.
Good afternoon. I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. A Fort Dodge teenager has been charged in the murder of a Des Moines woman last week. 16-year-old Datavion John Goley of Fort Dodge faces first-degree murder and robbery charges after 18-year-old Sakira Bonner was found lying in a West Des Moines road late on Friday night. Bonner was later pronounced dead at a local hospital after authorities say she was beaten and shot. 2 others were charged with first-degree murder and first-degree robbery. 20-year-old John Darius Lewis of Des Moines and 17-year-old Eleazar Montoya Gam of Des Moines. The Iowa Division of Criminal Investigation West Des Moines Police continue to investigate. The Colorado man who allegedly threw water Representative Steve King last month has filed a motion to have his trial moved down to the 4th Congressional District. 26-year-old Blake Gibbons of Lafayette, Colorado pleaded not guilty to 2 counts of assault and a disorderly conduct charge, both simple misdemeanors. Gibbons' attorney Paul Statler of Des Moines filed a motion for a change of venue on Monday because of pre-trial publicity on the case. Gibbons' trial was originally scheduled for April 30th, but Statler filed a motion to reschedule because of a conflict on the date. A new trial date has not been announced. The Fort Dodge Community School District announced on Wednesday that Sarah Fitzgerald will be the next principal at Fieldhaver Elementary School in Fort Dodge, starting with the 2019-2020 school year. Fitzgerald currently serves as an instructional coach and new teacher mentor at Fort Dodge Middle School. She replaces current principal Nancy Cross, who resigned effective at the end of the school year to move closer to family in eastern Iowa, whom she will help care for. The Prestige Foods pork plant just south of Eagle Grove is open, and the past president of the Iowa Pork Producers Association, Greg Hora, says production at the plant continues to ramp up. Hora said yesterday on the Divine Intervention show that profits in the pork industry are currently high.
Within the pork industry, and we should be happy about that in Iowa, is that we're seeing some more profits right now due to the African swine fever that is rampant not only in China, but some other countries. So we're seeing our summer pork prices go up pretty dramatically, about 20% here in the last 2 months. That brings us profitability back into the industry.
Hora mentioned that this year's World Pork Expo in Des Moines in June has been canceled because of the threat of African swine fever.
They're still having a live show down there for U.S. exhibitors, but we're just concerned about those foreigners that might come here, and if we would have a disease break, how financially devastating that would be.
Hora says that an outbreak of African swine fever would shut down the borders for any exports of pork and would be financially devastating. A central Iowa city is being named among the best places in the country to live, as Radio Iowa's Matt Kelly reports.
Out of 125 metro areas, the rankings from U.S. News & World Report place Des Moines as the 5th best place to live. The list is compiled based on a series of criteria, including cost of living, job market, crime rates, and quality of education. The rest of the top 5 are Fayetteville, Arkansas, Colorado Springs, Denver, and in first place, Austin, Texas. The magazine also ranked Des Moines the number 3 best affordable place to live. Radio Iowa, I'm Matt Kelly.
I'm Alex Benzagal with the KVFD Afternoon News. Have a great day.
Here's the AM 1400 KVFD weatherology forecast. Chance for scattered storms this afternoon, otherwise cloudy skies. High of 51, southeasterly winds 20 to 25 miles per hour. Cloudy skies again tonight, chance of snow, lows level off around 31. Chance for mixed precipitation tomorrow, 41. A dusting of snow tomorrow. From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. Currently, it's 44.
What if I told you there was a way to step into another gear for your brain and be much sharper, more focused, and improve your memory to a level that you could only dream about? And notice these results in 30 minutes. Hard to believe? Neuroscientists are calling this new brain discovery the biggest advancement in brain science to date. It's called Limitless, the brain pill of the future. Take it, and within 30 minutes, you'll transport your mind to a new level of focus and clarity you would have never thought possible.
I took Limitless and it started working in minutes. All of a sudden, it felt like a dark cloud had been lifted up right before my eyes. I have a mental clarity I've never felt before.
Biz execs, athletes, teachers, and students are calling Limitless a secret weapon for the brain. You have nothing to lose, so call now and find out how to get a free bottle today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-681-9041. That's 800-681-9041. Free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-681-9041, 800-681-9041.
Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor wants to help you step into spring with ideas and inspirations. From your living room to your bedroom, the smallest changes can make a big difference. Stop into Mary Kay's and let me help you decorate for spring with beautiful artificial flowers and bouquets, vases, planters, home decor, and more. Grab yourself a Widwick candle or diffuser in your favorite fragrance and listen to the crackling of a wooden wick. For a perfectly lovely way to bring spring into your home, shop Mary Kay's Gifts and Home Decor next to Daniel Pharmacy, 1108 Central Avenue, downtown Fort Dodge.
Flood victims in Nebraska need our help. Alpha Media Fort Dodge is a designated donation site for the thousands of displaced people in Nebraska. Items needed are cleaning supplies, toiletries, diapers and baby wipes, new pillows and blankets, heavy-duty trash bags, snacks, bottled water, pet food, hygiene items, and of course, cash. If you can help our neighbors in Nebraska, please drop off your donations at our studios, 200 North 10th Street. All items will be delivered to Nebraska on Friday, April 26th. Special shout out to Chemna Auto at Fort Dodge for all the help. Thank you from all of us at Alpha Media.
When it comes to being your best, who's in your healthcare support circle? Family? Friends? Coaches? What if there was a way to strengthen that circle of care? Mercy One now has a 20,000 person support team all across Iowa, with more locations and more highly rated specialty services than any health network in the region. Now that you can add all this care to your circle, why wouldn't you? Mercy One, your best life, our one purpose.
Find your way to Wild Rose and you could drive away in a new Jeep Compass. Valued at more than $32,000, we're giving away a 2019 Jeep Compass Limited 4x4 Saturday, May 4th. Get qualified when you win a hot seat every Saturday through May 4th at Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson. Must be 21 or older. If you're someone who can't call me 100. And don't miss the Gin Blossoms live in concert Saturday, May 4th, only at Wild Rose Casino and Resort Jefferson. Tickets on sale now. You'd rather be here.
Michael Devine at AM 1400 KVFD.
Listen to this.
Making radio great again.
Here's to us without men. Woo!
Here, here.
I'm not toasting to that. It's bad luck. Yeah. If I end up old and alone, it's all your fault.
Oh, Charlotte, sweetie, we're all alone, even when we're with men.
Yeah, you tell her, Mr. Sister.
My advice to you is to embrace that fact. Slap on some armor and go through life like I do, enjoying men, but not expecting them to fill you up. Except when, well, you know.
Michael Devine.
You're very clever, my charming little friend.
With more stimulating talk radio.
Okay, this is AM 1400, KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge. I'm Michael Devine. Yes, we are going to tell the truth, make it matter. We're never going to be boring. Yes, that's what we're going to do, tell the truth. And we're never going to be boring. We're actually waiting on a call from Mayor Matt Bemrick, who's out in Washington, D.C., and I'm sure he's seeing the sights. And when he's not at a meeting, he's out, he's probably in Mass somewhere, or not. He's out there with County Supervisor Mark Campbell, Lydia Schur from the City Council, of course, and from the Growth Alliance. Who else is out there? Oh, David Furrick, City Manager, is out there. So I'm expecting a call from the mayor. He's usually pretty prompt, but he's not on time today. So there we go. We'll just have to see we'll just have to wait and see what the mayor's doing. Thanks to my guests so far, David Osterberg of the Iowa Policy Project, certainly Steve Peterson with the Farm Bureau, and we started off with Kerry Kuiper from the Fort Dodge Convention and Visitors Bureau. And I do want to remind you again, some of the things that Kerry was telling us. There's going to be a summer baseball team coming to Fort Dodge. The Pioneer Baseball League is starting a team called the Gypsum Miners. The Gypsum Miners will bring college baseball players from around the states to participate in 40 games during June and July. The teams will inexplicably play at Patterson Field rather than Harlan Rogers. I don't know about that. I'm just glad we have a team. Really, the CVB is trying to help some of these players, 23 of them, find housing in Fort Dodge. They are looking for host families to literally adopt one of these players. So if you'd like to do that, call the Pioneer League owner, Donnie Roberts, and the number is 715-790-2941. Of course, these are college-age players. If you'd like to host one for the most of the summer months, it's 712-790-2941. Okay, the phone rang. Is this Mayor Matt Bemrick?
It is.
All right.
You, Mike?
Well, I'm really, really good. I was just saying that you're probably out there working with the Little Sisters of the Poor or attending mass or something, but you and Campbell both. I know you are. You're stalwarts out there.
Yeah.
How are you? Well, I'm excellent, and I wonder why we do things sometimes, but I absolutely know, understand, and appreciate why we have to send our city officials and county officials out to Washington, D.C. We got to show them the flag out there. Of course, out of sight, out of mind, and we don't want to be out of their mind. They're already out of their mind. So
the primary goal is to come out here and try to get tax dollars that we all send here and put them back to work in our community, in our region, to improve the quality of life of our constituents as well as our business and industry. So,
well, tell us how that's been going.
Focus on.
How's that been going out there, Matt?
I'm good. We've had yesterday was a jam-packed day of meetings, and today as well. Yesterday we spent most of the day on the Hill. We met with Congressman King. We met with Senator Ernst and Senator Grassley, and we worked through a booklet that we bring out with us that has a whole myriad of projects, everything from clean water initiatives to the Warden and the Rec Center and Intermodal Hub, to water and wastewater projects that we hope to be funding in the future as we continue to develop Iowa's Crossroads to Global Innovation, the Ag Park, all kinds of things like that. So we work with the actual elected leadership, and then we also meet with their staff and try to identify loan programs, grant programs, and other opportunities for funding and financing opportunities that can put money back in Webster County and Fort Dodge.
Is there anything specific? I mean, you're talking about making these contacts. Is there a specific project you guys are talking up out there or not?
Well, of course, we're talking quite a bit about the Warden, but we're always hitting hard on the Iowa's Crossroads to Global Innovation. You know, we're working on sewer and water optimization programs where we maximize the opportunity and the use of our water and wastewater facilities, in matching that up with private sector investment that is either made by Cargill, CJ, or one of the over-the-fence companies that could possibly or potentially be coming in the pipeline. So we talked quite a bit about those things and in programs through EDA, EPA, USDA Rural Development, and DOT. So we've had meetings at the DOT, USDA, the EPA, Bio, Congress. Tomorrow we actually are meeting. We got to get up early again tomorrow, so we're going to try to fit in one more meeting before we fly back with the Army Corps of Engineers.
Okay, all right. Of course, Councilman Menke was in Wednesday. He always wants to, and good for him. He always wants to talk about riverfront development. Is there was there any discussion of that out there or not?
Yeah, we did. We talked a little bit about clean water initiatives with EPA as they relate to the riverfront. We also talked about some work that we do with neighborhood revitalization and stabilization with the Northwest River District and the Lincoln neighborhood that you and I both live in, or adjacent to, in the Lincoln neighborhood down by Corpus Christi, and how we can use different brownfield programs to clean up that neighborhood and put some energy back into it, clean it up, make it a place people want to live and be excited about.
Yeah, I'd recommend a bulldozer down North 10th Street to start, but I suppose that's out of line. But I don't suppose.
Well, I mean, we've got a good start with what's going on at Phyllis Middle School and the Fort Dodge Catholic school systems. Acquired the old gymnasium there. They call now the Coliseum. You got some synergies and some good things happening. But really, it takes getting some of those federal dollars back here, get them to work on whether it be a planning or designing grant or actual acquisition and tear down money that could help us acquire and get rid of blighted property. We used to have the community development block grant program that we were very successful in the Parkview neighborhood, and then we kind of moved it over to the Lincoln neighborhood. But that program's gone away, and Senator Harkin was a champion in that program and was always helping us with that. But that money is no longer there. So
that's really too bad.
We really struggled with trying to find the right programs that will help with that neighborhood revitalization and stabilization.
Yeah, those were great. I wasn't a big Tom Harkin fan, but I have to give him credit. He did a lot of things that helped the state of Iowa and really average people in the state of Iowa.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he was a champion of the Americans with Disabilities Act and making sure that people had access to, facilities, could use, whether you were disabled or a healthy individual, you should have the same right to the access to things that we all want to use. So, Tom, interesting, not this year, but 2 years ago, I was walking across the mall, right on the backside of the Capitol, and there's Tom Harkin standing there with a bunch of individuals that were disabled, and he was helping them lobby the United States Congress to change disability laws and make sure people have access.
Sure.
So he's still out here working.
That was a labor of love for Tom Harkin. I believe he had a disabled brother. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah,
but,
you're correct.
I don't know what the
I believe
disability.
you are correct.
I don't know what the disability was, and I don't need to know. But yeah, I know he worked long and hard. And this will sound funny to people who have grown up with all the poisonous atmosphere in Washington D.C. But George W. Bush, a Republican president, joined with Tom Harkin to note the signing of this act back when the first President Bush was president, and Tom Harkin had run for the Democratic nomination for president, and he'd been very harsh in his assessment of President Bush's presidency. But when it came time to sign this act, Senator Harkin acknowledged the help of President Bush, apologized for his earlier attacks, and said some things are said in the heat of the campaign that probably shouldn't. And they both shook hands, and the crowd all cheered, and we got this done. That was a Republican president and a Democratic senator working together. What a concept. And showing a little respect and common decency to each other, which there's
a lot more conversations that happen here between Democrats and Republicans than maybe gets portrayed on TV or you read about in the newspapers. We were in the back hallway of the Senate chamber yesterday and meeting with Joni Ernst, Senator Ernst, and out comes a couple of Democratic senators, and they start. All three of them are talking. So I mean, they talk to each other. It's not like they may be playing it up a little bit for C-SPAN and the media. But then when they step off the Senate floor, I think a lot of these folks know each other well and are friends. And even Senator Kreinbrink and Ann Myers, Mike Sexton will tell you, there's a lot of people across the aisle that they become good friends with. They may not share the same perspective on a bill or on an issue, but they're good people, and good people tend to gravitate towards each other anyway.
Well, I wish they'd model it a little bit more. I don't think it's good. Anyway, Matt Bemrick.
Well, it's not real entertaining to watch people singing Kumbaya together, but it will catch your attention if people are arguing with each other.
Yeah, leave the griping to me. I'm good at it.
Yeah, you are my favorite grumpy man. You are. Absolutely.
So when you coming home?
I actually, after the Army Corps meeting tomorrow, we'll be heading to the airport. I should be home by, 7, 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
So the Army Corps meeting will tell us what again? or tell you?
The
Robert?
Army Corps is part of the programs that we're using to remove the hydroelectric dam and the Lowhead Dam down by Trinity, Unity Point. So both the dam removals are part of the Army Corps program. And then there's some other money in the Neil Smith Greenbelt program. The Army Corps we work with them on that program as well. So there's a lot of different things that we're going to be talking about, mainly riverfront stuff.
Really? Well, that's really something. Do you know if there's any movement on that Warden Plaza project? Nevin Mulholland's coming in here tomorrow. Of course, he's been a warrior for the Warden Plaza.
For the rec center, yeah. Absolutely. There is movement. It never moves as fast as we want, but projects worth doing generally are difficult and time consuming. We had a little setback, and I think we covered that a couple weeks ago when I was on with you talking about the SHPO program that we need those historic tax credits. Well, they're only taking applications this year in May, and they didn't announce that until late February. And we're not ready to submit in May. So now there isn't a round in September, so we're going to have to wait again until May of 2020 to submit all of our historic tax credits. But in the meantime, we have some other monies that we're targeting for the Wakanza Annex demolition, as well as some monies that we've gotten to do asbestos and lead paint abatement in the ward itself. So, there are things moving and things are happening. Would I love them to move faster? Sure, but they don't always move at the speed that we want them to. They move at the speed that the programs and the financial opportunities present themselves.
Just to be sure, just so I'm clear, if nobody else, when you talk about river development, you're not just talking about water quality, but water quality is part of the equation?
Water quality is part of the equation, but you're also talking about fishing opportunities. You could be talking about whitewater opportunities, trails, bank stabilization, clean water initiatives. All those things marry into a good, healthy riverfront. So you want it to be environmentally friendly, of course. You want to make sure that you're keeping your waterways clean and usable for fish and people to recreate in. But at the same time, you want to build facilities and opportunities along the riverfront for people to be able to capitalize, use either for housing or for recreation or even business. So,
there's some
to do that, you really got to have a good coordinated effort, and I think we do have some great planning going on as it relates to the riverfront, in building some fishing piers and swing dams that will create fishing opportunities. Because I know some people are upset that we remove those dams because that's how they fish that river for a number of years. But we are committed to making sure that waterway is clear so fish can move up and down it and people still have access to fishing.
They're grumbling down in the southern part of the county. Some folks are that we knocked down the dams. Now we have flooding down there. I don't really think that's legitimate.
That is not. And there is a letter from a hydrologist, I think is what.
Hydrologist.
No, not hydrologist.
Okay.
Hydrologist.
All right.
Which is, I think I'm saying that right. But it's somebody who studies the actual flow of rivers, waterways, lakes, all those different things. And we have a letter from him from the University of Iowa. He's an independent person. We didn't hire him to do this. But he says there is no way those dams affect the river down south of us, and whether it be Lehigh area or even further south. Those dams are localized dams that only affect flooding in the immediate proximity of the dams themselves.
Well, yeah, we had such an unusual year. Maybe this is the new normal, really. But
well, you had a lot of it. You had a very quick thaw. You had a lot of ice jams going on, and really, if you get Dylan Hagen, who's the emergency management coordinator now, if you could get a hold of him and get him on maybe a little bit, talk about some of the flooding and some of the damage that occurred in Webster County and the region. I think he can really explain to you where those ice jams were and why that was the thing that caused the flooding. It wasn't the removal of our dams; it was the ice jams.
Who was the person you mentioned?
Dylan Hagen.
Dylan Hagen, and he's
Hagen.
Right.
He's our new Webster County emergency management coordinator.
Okay, good enough. All right, Matt. Unless you got something else, we thank you for being on, and
you bet, Mike.
Looking forward to seeing you back home.
All right.
All right. Take care. This is AM 1400 KVFD, the voice of Fort Dodge.
Michael Devine, the doctor of truth.
Does anyone have anything they'd like to confess?
That AM 1400 KVFD.
It's 428.
Tips for the 2019 planting season. Hello, I'm Megan Grebner, and this is Managing for Profit on Brownfield, a content partnership with Arista Life Science. The wet start to the year and the less than ideal field conditions could lead to a condensed planting season and put even more pressure on farmers this spring. In this Managing for Profit, Matt Hayes with Arista Life Science has some recommendations as growers work to get their crops planted. We'll find out more on Brownfield right after this.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for